Jonathan, thanks for joining in. How's it going? All good? Starting to get really excited for game week 17. I think my team looks decent on paper at the moment. Of course, we didn't really get the Thiago news that we wanted today, but hopefully he will be fine. Let's set up a poll as well. Give me a minute. So please let me know in the poll, what's your Thiago plan at the moment? Will you start him? Will you sell him? Will you put him on the bench, or you might not even own him? Haaland, the definite captain this game week. I think that he is the best option this game week, to be honest. I've had a look at both the defensive and attacking stats, and it makes sense having Erling Haaland. It's probably a bit boring, of course. He will be really heavily captained this game week, and his effective ownership will be really, really high this game week, as there are some managers with their triple captainship left, and they will probably play it on Erling Haaland this game week. His effective ownership can reach 200% this game week, so the risk is actually even bigger than usual to go against Erling Haaland, and considering the form picture, all is pointing to Erling Haaland for me at the moment. I really like to take a captain punt. I'm not afraid of this usually, but Haaland, he is both the safest and probably the best option as well. FPL FOMO, starting Thiago, will get Jared Bowen off the bench if Thiago doesn't start. I'm actually a bit jealous of Jared Bowen. I would like to have him in my team. I actually made some graphics for game week 18 videos earlier today and had a look at Jared Bowen and West Ham's upcoming fixtures. So I think that Jared Bowen, considering that there will be a lot of deadlines coming in a short succession, I think that Jared Bowen actually is a really good option at the moment. It's on my watch list as well, as you can see in the right hand corner. So having Jared Bowen on the bench is definitely a solid option. Should I do Guahi to O'Reilly? I have Thiago and Welbeck. Other defenders are Timber, Ikapi, Collins, and Esteve. Guahi to O'Reilly. My only worry is Danny Welbeck. In the press conference today, we got the information that his back is still not good. They will potentially bring in another forward in January as well. So Danny Welbeck is not... He might actually not play in game week 18. So strengthening your team with O'Reilly in, I think this probably is a good idea. Looking at form and schedule, Ekitike would be a good pick. Tottenham is leaking goals at the back. Yeah, I think it's a good fixture for Liverpool playing against Spurs, to be honest. And Ekitike, double-digit haul in game week 15 and game week 16. He might actually do this again this game week. Hey man, sending my team from Wish Malhotra. Great, so if you're interested in having your team reviewed on the screen, just head over to X and post a picture under my latest post. Rob Drums, I have to bench one. Van Dijk, Timber, Calafiore, Bruno, Wilson, or Thiago. Ooh. Bench one out of those. It would probably be Calafiore. seeing that you already have Timber in, Van Dijk, Timber, really solid options. Calafiore, really good, of course, as well, but I wouldn't bench Bruno, Wilson, or Thiago. So you might actually need Calafiore. So put Calafiore first on the bench and start Thiago. At least that's what I would have done if I had all of those players. MK06, I set my team on X. Thanks. Okay, let's see. Okay. Vishmalotra, 1.1 million in the bank for free transfers. And this is the team. There we go. Yeah, MK, I saw a message. I will have a look at your team in a minute. Are you looking to do any transfers this game week? Is this for Wishmalotra or my team? If it's for my team, that was just on the screen. My plan is actually to save a transfer this game week, but this is Wishmalotra's team for free transfers, 1.1 in the bank. Let's have a look. So you will probably start Raya against Everton, double up on the Arsenal defense with Timber. O'Reilly's already in, Richards. So probably Michele and Cash on the bench. Bruno Fernandes, Phil Foden, Saka, Bruno Guimaraes, King on the bench as well. And up front, Erling Haaland, Raul Jimenez, and Thiago. I think this team looks really good, to be honest. No need for a transfer. You can actually potentially save a transfer and have 5 free transfers heading into game week 18. And this will give you a bit more information as well. Erling Haaland, you already have him in. He will be the most captain player this game week. So unless there are some players that you really think will do well in game week 17, you can potentially just roll the transfer with this team. So Timber, O'Reilly, Richards in defense, Bruno Fernandes, Phil Foden, Saka, Bruno Guimaraes, Erling Haaland, Raul Jimenez, and Thiago. Yeah, potentially a save. Not the best fixture for Bruno G, of course, playing against Chelsea. They have actually been really good defensively. Talked about this in my team selection video. I'm not a big fan of starting Sanchez this game week, but at the same time, I think that the Chelsea defense have performed good recently. So Vishmalotra, Foden captaincy. Going for a differential is not the worst idea. It's a bit risky this game week. Of course, I said this at the beginning of the stream that I'm expecting Erling Haaland's effective ownership to be close to 200%, considering all the triple captains that will be in play in game week 17. There were a lot of discussion about triple captain earlier on in the season, and game week 17, Man City at home against West Ham was one of those fixtures that was pointed out to be the best game week for the triple captain. But going for Phil Foden might be a really good idea, and he might very well outscore Erling Haaland. So Phil Foden, he can pick up defensive contributions. He can get an extra point for clean sheets and an extra point for goals as well. So captaining a midfielder, I usually actually like captaining midfielders, but Erling Haaland, he will most probably be my captain for game week 17, to be honest. Haaland to blank from MK. Okay, let's have a look at your team as well. A really solid team, Wish Malhotra. No surgery needed on this team. So this is MK's team in the chat. Tempted to do Saka and Welbeck to Ekitike and Semenyo or Cunha. Okay, let's see. So the plan with this team is to sell Saka, get rid of Welbeck as well. I think it makes sense at least selling Welbeck. On the press conference today, we got the confirmation that he is actually still not fit. He might start, he might play 20 minutes. Didn't get any confirmation about this, but Fabian Hürsler said that they were looking to bring in another forward in January because of Welbeck's injuries. The other forward had a knee. What's his name again? Can't really remember his name, but the other forward for Brighton had a knee injury and will probably miss the rest of the season. So only having Welbeck with his injury record as well, I see why Brighton would want a new forward. So MK's plan is to potentially sell Saka and Danny Welbeck. I have seen a lot of FPL managers, especially on X, planning to sell Saka this game week. So Everton away, it's not the best fixture, but Saka to Semenyo. Simas, yeah, thanks. That's the one. Let's see. Bring in. The thing is with Saka is that he is quite expensive, right? So you can have a really solid midfielder and a solid forward by selling Saka. Welbeck can potentially be so 2 months ago I wouldn't have guessed hearing me say this, but if you want to give Saka another chance, you can potentially do something like Welbeck to Calvert-Lewin as well. But even though Calvert-Lewin has done well recently, he's actually the player with the highest expected goal involvement from the last 4 game weeks, but I definitely can see why you would want to avoid Calvert-Lewin as well. So yeah, I think downgrading Saka to someone like Semenyo and upgrade Welbeck, I think this is actually a good idea. So how many transfers do you have at the moment, MK? Maybe you wrote this in the comments, but I'm sorry if I missed it. Uvamar sent my team already. I will have a look in a minute. Next week, in case Thiago isn't fit to play road blanks, then I can sell one of them to Ekitike next game week. 2 free transfers. So if you don't have any other issues in your team at the moment, selling Saka to Semenyo and upgrading Welbeck, avoiding taking a hit, you have 2 free transfers. I think the plan sounds really good, to be honest, MK. So Foden is fine, Bruno Fernandes is fine, Minte Thiago is hopefully fine. Josh King on the bench. He can potentially be someone to consider selling. I expected Josh King to be nailed on for Fulham, but he actually started a couple of games on the bench recently, but you will most probably not play Josh King and have him last on your bench. You have a solid defense with both Vandenberg and Gudmundsson. So yeah, go for it. The best 4.5 defender I can buy for long term, probably the same defender as MK's team, Vandenberg. I have him in myself at the moment, the Brentford centre back. Picked up defensive contributions in game week 16 and some solid fixtures coming up for Brentford. Can potentially pick a Brighton defender as well. Van Hecke, I think his price has gone up to 4.7 at this point, so would probably be Louis Dunk. Then I would probably just go for someone like Mukiele, a bit cheaper, or probably Rodon instead. Save the extra 0.4. But really solid team. MK, Welbeck to Ekitiki, Saka to Semenyo. I think I would actually prefer Semenyo instead of Cunha, seeing that you have Bruno Fernandes. Can you look at my team? Where can I send? Head over to X, post a picture under my latest post, as we see that Wish Malhotra MK already sent their teams. So the post looks like this Q&A game week 17, same as the thumbnail for this stream. So head over to X. It's the same handle as on YouTube at fpltfs. It's kind of hard to fit all of that picture into the screen, but let's see what I can do. So on the bench is Stach, Cash, and Diab. Doing my best to fit all of the team into the screen. Just give me a minute. Radu Gavaluta, thanks for joining in. Stach, Cash, and Diab. I think I need to do something like this and just zoom in like that. There we go. So this, let's see. Set my team already. AY Beckham. We'll have a look at your team. It was kind of hard to fit it into the screen. Really sorry about that. But let's take a couple of quick questions. Best 4.5 defender. I answered this right. I think Vandenberg, and we see that AY Beckham have this player as well. What do you think about Cherky and Calafiori in, really good options. I actually have Cherky on my watch lists, as you can see down in the right hand corner. So I have players that's close to a price. I'm actually not expecting Cherky to start week in, week out, but considering his form, I think he's a good punt at the moment. Radu Gavaluta, I made new plans. I want to go Vicario to Sanchez, Munoz to Vandenberg, Burn to Richards, NGI to Wilson, Gibbs White to Cunha, and SA to Bruno, and Welbeck to Guiu for a -8. So all of those transfers make sense. All of them are upgrades. Of course, not probably Welbeck to Guiu, but I can see why you're getting Guiu. It's to free up funds for other transfers. So solid plan, Radu Gavaluta. We talked about this yesterday. For those who didn't join the stream yesterday, Radu Gavaluta, we discussed some transfers on the stream. So this is like close to 24 hours ago. I think I can also do some manual to Cunha in 3 game weeks time when my new fixtures improve. Yeah. That's probably a good idea to start with Semenyo, and you can double up on the United midfield when their fixtures gets a bit better. So Newcastle, not the best fixture for Man United. I think having Bruno Fernandes probably is enough at the moment. Palmer and Anderson instead of Cunha and Wilson, but it would make it harder to get Gabriel when he's back. I think that having a plan like you do with Gabriel, I think this makes sense. And if you have to start Anderson, Elliot Anderson a week in, a week out, it's probably better to go Wilson, to be honest. I brought Esse, Stach, Raul last game week. This week I have done Jeremy Doku and Mbumo to Phil Foden and Wilson. I still have one free transfer. Thoughts on Esse to Tavernier this week. Lamens in goal, so really interesting. He is actually a solid goalkeeper. I haven't seen him in that many FPL teams, but big differential in goal. Vandenberg, I talked about him a couple of times already. He is one of the best defenders at that price point, so good fixture for Brentford in game week 17 playing against Wolves. O'Reilly is in, Timber as well. So Arsenal, they are the team with the best clean sheet odds according to the bookies. So a solid option. Phil Foden, Wilson, Bruno Fernandes, Esse, and up front Thiago, Raul, and Erling Haaland. So SA2 Tavernier, I know that he did well and know that he is on some set pieces for Bournemouth. Good price differential. Tavernier can potentially be a really good option, but if you go and check Bournemouth's fixtures, I'm not really sure if bringing in Tavernier is a good idea. I think it's probably better to go for Semenyo. He is like a talisman for Bournemouth at the moment, but Tavernier is kind of the player that if Bournemouth score a lot of goals, he will be involved as well. But if Bournemouth only get 1 or 2 goals, I think Semenyo will be the better option to own. But of course, considering his price, it's probably a good idea. But I can, at the same time, I can actually see SA outscoring Tavernier. So I was considering that Tavernier move so I can easily bring in Ekitiki versus Wolves next week. Yeah, you mentioned that if Raul or Thiago, if Raul blanks or if Thiago is injured, free up some funds by going SA2 Tavernier with a plan to upgrade Thiago or Raul to Ekitiki. Makes sense, to be honest. So, yeah, if this move gives you enough funds to upgrade Raul or Thiago to Ekitiki, it's probably a really good idea. So, yeah, go for it. I will have to look at some possible options as well for me to upgrade Raul Jimenez or Thiago to Ekitiki next game week. So, yeah. Would you play a Brentford or Chelsea defender this game week? I will probably go for Brentford defenders away against Wolves. I will 2.6 in the bank, yeah. 2.6 in the bank, and I plan to upgrade for Ekitiki next game week. I think it sounds really solid. I will actually start a Chelsea defender myself, so I have Sanchez in goal, but away at the St. James's Park against Newcastle, will Chelsea keep a clean sheet? I'm not really sure. I'm actually not expecting Sanchez to keep a clean sheet this game week, but hopefully he can get some save points. I think the fixture away against Wolves is much, much better. So let's see. We had some other teams coming in as well. Amar Duranovic. Let's see if we can fit this team in. There we go. So Amar Duranovic, please let me know in the chat, what's your plans ahead of game week 17? Your team is on the screen, posted on X, so if you're interested, head over, post a picture of your team selection under my latest post as well, and we'll get it up on the screen. Orange Apple, thanks for joining in. Hey man, hope all is well. Thoughts on going against Holland if triple captain has already been used? I actually talked about going against Erling. I'm not afraid of going against Erling Haaland, but in game week 17, I think the risk is actually a bit higher than usual. I think that the players with the triple captain have probably saved it for game week 17, playing it on Erling Haaland. So I expect his ownership to be close to 200% in game week 17. So I'm, I'm, I'm not sure if this is the right game week to go against Erling Haaland, but we discussed it in the chat some minutes ago. Someone suggested going for Phil Foden, and it's not the worst idea. Of course, he can easily outscore Erling Haaland, but considering that they have a really good fixture playing at home against West Ham, Erling Haaland, he looked really good last game week as well. So one of the best forwards against one of the weakest defenses. He actually has a good record against them as well. I think he has something like 9 goals in 6 games, something like that. Is Cole Palmer an option yet? I'd say so, yeah. He has 2 home games, scored in game week 16 on most penalties. So I definitely think that Cole Palmer could be an option. Of course, he's a bit expensive. My plan is to consider bringing Cole Palmer in from game week 21, but if you have the funds and an easy way to get Cole Palmer in, it could be a really good plan to jump on Cole Palmer early, of course. Should I get a new striker and sell someone from the midfield? So let's have a look at the team. Raya in goal, Dubravka on the bench, Cash, Guehi, Bijol, Virgil van Dijk, and Hincapié. Is taking a -8 worth in my case? Yeah, I'd say so. Radu Gavriluta. We discussed this yesterday as well, and I think those moves are really, really good on paper and will set your team up really good for the upcoming game week. So hopefully you can save some transfers after doing that -8. So back to this team, Saka, Neto in midfield, Wilson, Foden, and Bruno. Fernandes up front, Thiago, and Ketia, and Erling Haaland. So should I get a new striker and sell someone from the midfield? Erling Haaland, he should definitely stay. I don't see Thiago as a sell at the moment if he misses out. And if we get more information about this injury, that he potentially will miss game week 18 as well, then it's probably a sell. But we know with the information we have, it's only a knock. He did not play in the midweek fixture for Brentford, but I'm actually expecting Thiago to start. And Ketia, of course, he is a rotation risk and a minutes risk, but we actually have gotten the Crystal Palace starting 11 ahead of game week 17. This is quite rare, but Glasner, he gave us the starting 11 for Crystal Palace for their game against Leeds, and Nketiah, he is actually starting up front for Crystal Palace, so I think that he definitely is one to just keep in game week 17. In this team, I would probably bench Neto, so start Saka, Wilson, Foden, Bruno Fernandes, Thiago, Nketiah, and Erling Haaland. Neto on the bench, and I would start Hincapié and Guehi. Probably Van Dijk as well, so Cash, Bijol, and Neto. Neto would probably be first on my bench. Could Alexander Isak and Ekitike both start? Yes. We had some comments from Arne Slot about this. They can potentially start together. I'm not expecting this to be like the regular or the normal Liverpool lineup with both Ekitike and Alexander Isak, but now with some injuries for Liverpool, Szoboszlai might miss out. Wirtz, he can play in the 10 position. They don't have Gakpo, so we can see Ekitike or Alexander Isak play a bit more to the left, and the other one take up the number 9 spot. So Ekitike, Alexander Isak can definitely start together in some games, but at the moment I really think that Ekitike is the best option. Palmer or Bruno, if you had to choose, I would still go Bruno Fernandes. Cole Palmer is a really good punt, low ownership, really good player on set pieces, including penalties for Chelsea. They have 2 home fixtures, but the thing is that he is more expensive and he is actually still a bit of a minutes risk. So I think he will start most games, but he like for Enzo Maresca to take Cole Palmer off early, considering that there are a lot of games coming up. I think this makes sense as well. So if Chelsea, if they are 2-3-0 up, we can potentially see Cole Palmer being subbed off around the hour. Can you look at my team? Sure. I think you posted on... Did you post your team ID, Palm? Let's see. I have sent my team. Okay. Just need to refresh this. There we go. Okay, let's see. Was there any question? No. But let's have a look at this team. Verbruggen in goal. So yesterday actually was the first time I've seen that many teams with Verbruggen in goal. So I had a live stream yesterday as well. Verbruggen was actually in like 4 or 5 out of the team. So Verbruggen, really good fixture, of course, playing at home against Sunderland. Saliba is in, Virgil van Dijk and O'Reilly. So really solid, kind of expensive defense. Saka, Phil Foden, Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Guimaraes, and Harry Wilson in midfield. Up front, Haaland, Thiago. This is actually a really, really solid team. So you have actually 4 penalty takers: Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Haaland, and Thiago. You have Bruno Guimaraes, Phil Foden, in form, solid options, and of course Harry Wilson, one of the best value assets in the game at the moment. O'Reilly in defense, Van Dijk. I'm not expecting Liverpool to keep a clean sheet in game week 17 away against Spurs, but they have really good fixtures coming up, and he is actually on my watch list at the moment. I'm thinking of buying Vandenberg instead of De Ligt. Definitely something to consider. Definitely something to consider. And if you make this move, I think it kind of depends on how many free transfers you have at the moment. I think that transferring in Vandenberg will give you kind of a benching headache, probably. So Bruno Guimaraes, he is... I think I potentially would just do this transfer next game week with the potential to have a bit more information. So seeing that you have Bruno Guimaraes in your starting 11, he is a really good option. He tends to do well in those tough games on corners, free kicks, can pick up defensive contribution points. So I think Bruno Guimaraes is a solid option for game week 17. And seeing that you have Richards on the bench as well, playing against Leeds, it's not the worst option. So if Thiago misses out, you will have Richards. 4 free transfers. If you have 4 free, it probably makes sense to do the De Ligt move this game week. It will be a really close call between Vandenberg and Bruno Guimaraes, in my opinion. Really good fixture for Brentford. I would potentially just take a punt, do the transfer De Ligt to Vandenberg, go for a 4-4-2 with Bruno Guimaraes first on the bench. So if you only had 1 or potentially 2 free transfers, my advice would probably be to just keep De Ligt and do this transfer next game week with a bit more information. But seeing that you already have 4 free transfers, it probably makes sense to just use one of the transfers this game week. Rodrigo Valuta, should I go Raya instead of Sanchez? already have Timber, so it would make buying Gabriel difficult. I think that Sanchez actually... So Arsenal, they will continue pick up some clean sheets, but the same goes for Chelsea, right? And only priced at 4.9. I think Sanchez is a really good option at the moment. Or I can buy like Senesi or someone for just one game week. I think I would prefer having Vandenberg, to be honest. So good fixture for Bournemouth this game week, but they have really tough fixtures coming up. If you take a look at the fixture ticker, Bournemouth, they are actually one of the teams with the toughest fixtures coming up. So I think I would prefer having players like Vandenberg, Van Hecke, probably Anderson, the Fulham centre back, or just save some funds and go for someone like Gudmundsson or Rodon Mukiele from Sunderland. If you're not going to play this player that often. Orange Apple, would you bench boost in game week 18 if you had Dubravka against Everton, Heaven against Newcastle at home, Minte, Arsenal away, and Rodon at home against Crystal Palace? I think if it looks likely that all of those players will start, I would definitely play my bench boost with those players. So the thing is that you only have 2 game weeks left to play the bench boost next game week. So you have to use it in game week 18 or game week 19. So the thing is that if you wait for game week 19, your team might actually have more suspensions, more injuries and stuff like that. So Dubravka at home against Everton, Heaven against Newcastle. Minte will definitely start, even though the fixture is tough away against Arsenal, and Rodon at home against Crystal Palace. So it's not an ideal bench boost, but I actually played my bench boost. Can't really remember which game week it was, 9 or 10. I had my bench boost pre-planned, played in game week 9. It looked really, really good on paper, but I only got like 14 points. The next game week, where my bench did not look optimal, I actually got 40 points on my bench. So I think it's down to luck as well. So Dubravka can, of course, keep a clean sheet against Everton. If Heaven starts, he can do well against Newcastle. Minte is one of the best options from Brighton and Rodon. And Leeds can do well against Crystal Palace. So Rodon, he is actually a big attacking threat and he can pick up defensive contributions. So yeah, it's not the worst bench boost in my opinion. Badera, I have goalkeepers Dubravka and Henderson. In defense, Virgil van Dijk, Senesi, Timber, Guehi, and Rodon. In midfield, Saka, Phil Foden, Bruno Fernandes, and Barnes, Dewsbury Hall, and up front, Erling Haaland, Thiago, and Guiu. 3 free transfers. I have my triple captain and bench boost left. What do you recommend? So if you have 3 free transfers, and if you have your bench boost and triple captain, so I would probably... So if you, before you play your bench boost, you will have to fix Guiu and Dewsbury Hall. So Guiu is a big minus risk, not nailed on to start for Chelsea, so you will probably just come on for a 1-pointer. So before playing my bench boost, I would definitely want to transfer out Guiu, and the same goes for Dewsbury Hall, as he is confirmed to be injured. So my plan with this team and those chips left, 3 free transfers, I would play my triple captain on Erling Haaland in game week 17. Wait and see what happens with Thiago. and use the transfers to sell Dewsbury Hall and Guiu ahead of game week 18. So same as with Orange Apple, game week 18 is probably the better game week for Badera to play the bench boost. So let's see, this game week you can play Van Dijk, Senesi, Timber, and you will probably have to play Guehi as well. On the bench, Rodon, Dewsbury Hall, and Guiu. So you will only have Rodon actually on the bench playing against Crystal Palace. So it's probably enough, but I wouldn't want to use the transfers this game week. I would like to save and have 4 free transfers and use those right before playing my bench boost. So fingers crossed that Thiago will play in game week 17. Save the transfer, have play the triple captain this game week and save the transfer. Have 4 free transfers heading into game week 18 and use those transfers. So that my microphone got muted. Really sorry about this. Happens from time to time, but my plan would be to use the triple captain this game week and save the transfer. Have 4 free transfers heading into game week 18 and play the bench boosts. Munir, salute. Should I bench boost even if Thiago is a doubt? It kind of depends which other players you have on the bench, but I think Thiago will start, to be honest, but he's expected to start. But we didn't really get any concrete information about it, so he is, of course, a doubt, but I wouldn't. So if you have a solid team for a bench boost, it's only Thiago that is the worry. I would just push the button, to be honest. Not that many game weeks left to play the bench boost, so if your team is solid, I'd say go for it. Is it after game week 19 or before game week 19 that the bench boost resets? So the first set of chips has to be used in game week 19 or before game week 19. So game week 20, we will get the second set of chips. So it's 38 game weeks. So the first half of the season is from game week 1 to game week 19. So you can potentially play one of the first chips in game week 19. What's your rank? My rank at the moment is 1.4, 1.3. I've not had a good start to the season, or let's say game week 1 was a total disaster. So I started at 9 million rank. So I gotten some solid green arrows after this, and hopefully my plan has always been to be inside 1 million ahead of game week 19 and then start climbing further up. But 1.4 or 1.3, hopefully I can have a couple of solid game weeks and reach the top 1 million ahead of game week 19. I had a terrible start, took a punt on Jared Bowen against Sunderland. I had the double West Ham attack, or not, sorry, not double West Ham attack, but double West Ham with Diouf and Jared Bowen in this fixture in game week 1. Big surprise seeing Sunderland beat them. I had Cole Palmer, Saka, all blanking and getting injured, so I had to use my transfers on those kind of safe and solid FPL options like Saka and Cole Palmer. I had Konsa, the only player to pick up red card as well in game week 1, so it looked like really good value at 4.5, and Aston Villa having some solid fixtures, but terrible start. Hopefully it can still be a good season. Irish Pit Terry just subscribed. I was planning to bench boost 2, but Thiago and Cells flagged, so now I'm undecided. I have 2 free transfers. I saw that Cells is still a doubt, so if he is the goalkeeper on your bench, it probably makes sense to wait, considering that Thiago is also a doubt. So you would be a bit annoyed if you played your bench boost and 2 of the players did not play. So if bench boost is your only remaining chip, I would definitely just wait and have some more information ahead of game week 18, to be honest. Oh, Lightning, could you look at my team when you get the chance, please? Yes, if you're interested, head over to X. I will have a look at, let's see how many teams I will get the chance to take a look at, but I will have a look at some more teams in a minute. Benching headache, Calvert-Lewin or Henderson. Game week 17. So you're benching one of Calvert-Lewin or Henderson. I would definitely bench, if it's Jordan Henderson, the Brentford midfielder, right? I would definitely bench him instead of Calvert-Lewin. So Calvert-Lewin, he is actually the player with the highest expected goal involvement from the last 4 game weeks. I said this a couple of times already, but Calvert-Lewin, he is this kind of player that can either be really hot or really cold. At the moment, he's actually in form, so Irish Pit. Your start sounds very similar to mine. So what's your rank at the moment, Irish Pit Terror? I think it was 9.4, and now I'm 1.4. Bruno 46 in the last 4 game weeks after I sold him. It has been a disaster for Lightning selling Bruno Fernandes after he got 2 points in, was it game week 12? Game week 13? Can't really remember, but I remember discussing this on this stream as well. This was actually the game week where I decided to bring Bruno Fernandes in, so Bruno Fernandes owners probably a bit lucky getting all of those returns, and of course a bit unlucky for those selling right before he started scoring. But the thing is, with Bruno Fernandes, at the start of the season, he could have actually had even more points. So he has been on 11 defensive contributions like 4 or 5 times. He has missed 2 penalties, so it could have been even more points for Bruno Fernandes. Let's see. Or maybe I just should buy a 4 million defender instead of the Ligt, because I don't need a start player. Yeah, I actually thought about this when discussing your team, Paul, that saying that you already have 3 really solid defenders, and you have Richards on the bench as well. I would probably just go for someone like Rodon from Leeds or Mukiele from Sunderland. Esteve at 3.9 is another option as well. But let's have a look at a couple of other teams as well. I think we saw this one. Let's refresh. Four minutes, Luca in the chat. Let's see, where is your, there we go. Can you please answer my question from Radu Gavriluta? I will definitely have a try. let's see. Let just scroll a bit back. Really sorry if I miss any messages. It's not me being a dick. I just... So if a new message is in the chat while I'm checking out the team on X, I can potentially miss a couple of chats. So sorry about that. So should I get Cunha and Wilson instead of Cole Palmer and Elliot Anderson? This way I could use extra funds to get a premium defender instead of Richards Vandenberg, but I'm unsure about my double United attack. Should I get Cunha and Wilson? Cunha and Wilson instead of Cole Palmer and Anderson. I think that having Cole Palmer early, Elliot Anderson is a solid option as well. I like Richards and I like Vandenberg. I don't see any reason to sell them to get another premium defender, to be honest. I do agree with the United attack. Don't really think that we need to double up on the United attack considering the fixtures. Bruno Fernandes is enough. I talked about this in the chat earlier as well. Might potentially be a good idea to double up on their attack from game week. Was it game week 20? So they have some kind of a fixture swing coming up, Man United. So I think I would take the punt on Cole Palmer. Just keep Richards and Vandenberg and go for a Cole Palmer punt with Elliot Anderson. So this is O Lightning's team. I already used a transfer to sell SA to Tavernier. I have 2 free transfers left and was thinking of doing Dan Burn to Calafiori, maybe Thiago to Ekitike. Yeah, Dan Burn, he is definitely a sell. He will be injured going forward. A lot of injuries for Newcastle at the moment, especially in their defense. Dan Burn to Calafiori. So, of course, Dan Burn to Calafiori is a solid upgrade. I have 2.3 in the bank. Seeing that you have Raya in goal already, I would actually be tempted to consider getting in someone like Guardiola, potentially O'Reilly, considering the fixtures for Man City going forward. So the midfield is really strong for game week 17. Double up on Bournemouth at home against Burnley. This can be a really good differential this game week. Phil Foden is in, Saka as well, and Cunha away against Villa. Erling Haaland captain and Thiago. So Thiago to Ekitike. Of course, I think it's an upgrade, but I think that there is a potential for Thiago sellers to really regret this decision if he starts in game week 17. Wolves, they are actually one of the worst defenses recently, so Thiago, he can do well against Wolves in game week 17 if he starts. Is this the right game week to sell Thiago? I'm not really sure. If I do burn to Guardiola, I'm 0.1 off doing Thiago to Ekitike. I see. Probably something like Blackburn to O'Reilly. Calafiori is probably just as good. Doubling up on the Arsenal defense, one of the best defenses in the league. So if you think Calafiori will do well, of course, just go for it. Dan Burn is definitely one to sell. And having enough in the bank for Thiago Ekitike. I talked about this actually earlier on this stream as well. Leaving enough in the bank for that kind of upgrade. It's actually something that I need to consider myself. I have both Thiago and Raul Jimenez, and all of a sudden, both of them might actually be sells. So at the moment, I will try to look at some similar ideas myself. But yeah. Definitely a good idea to get some Liverpool assets in for their fixture run. I actually made my graphics for some of the game week 18 content and had a look at the fixtures, and definitely Liverpool assets, they should be a priority going forward. I made a wildcard draft and actually doubled up on Liverpool in this team. So I do agree. And I think Everton could struggle with Dewsbury Hall and NGI and Guea. Yeah. Calafiori, really good option. Sell Dan Burn, get Calafiori in a big upgrade. Get in early on Ekitike. His price will continue to rise. Thiago could potentially punish the sellers, but I think it's worth the risk. So seeing that you just can't afford Guardiola, let's say just go for Calafiori and Ekitike. Really good options. And hopefully they will bring some FPL points for your team. I will look at some possible ways to get in Liverpool assets into my own team as well. All right, thanks, man. No worries. You have always really good reasoning for your transfer options. What's your rank at the moment? Had a really strong start, right? Let's see if there are any other teams. This was Lightning, FPL Luca on X. Okay, we've had this one. Ollie, we have him as well. MK, Luca. I think we actually... Yeah, I think we're fine. Please let me know in the chat if I missed your team. 250k. I've 250k. I've had 3 red arrows in a row. Yeah. So of course 3 green arrows from game week 17 and onwards, and you are back. At least you're in a better position compared to me. I'm actually 1.4 and at the moment aiming for top 1 million before game week 19. So that's at least my short-term goal. Hopefully I can have a good rank this season as well. But Bruno has punished me really. Yeah. And Bruno, he is one of the reasons why I've had green arrows recently. So I transferred Rice in ahead of game week 16 for the really good fixture at home against the Wolves. But he blanked. Hopefully he can turn it around. Good luck this week, man. Best of luck for game week 17 and have a lovely weekend. So Mbumo, Munoz, 2 of the most sold players ahead of this game week. Fault Mother, he's actually third. He's not injured. He will. Not really sure why, but it seems like the graphics is not changing at the moment. Just give me a minute. So usually the graphics that you see on the right hand side, it's usually top 3 transfers out, and every 15 seconds or so it changes to top 3 transfers in as well. Top 3 clean sheets usually changes to top 3 anytime goal scorer, and the price rise and price drop usually changes to my watch list. Not really sure why this is not happening at the moment. We'll try to download the graphics once again. Let's see. Sorry, just there we go. Hopefully that's better. Let's see if this changes. So now it's the transfers out. It's the top 3 clean sheets and price drops, price rises. So every 15, yeah, there we go. Now it's working. Not really sure what happened, but so this is my team. No transfers made. My plan is actually to just save a transfer ahead of game week 17. I used all 5 transfers last game week, so I will look to save a transfer and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 18. I'm hoping that Thiago will start if we get some early team news, and if we get a confirmation that he will not play. I might actually still consider just benching Thiago and play Elliot Anderson against Fulham. As has been discussed in the chats, I will try to possibly bring in some Liverpool cover. So I need to downgrade in midfield to upgrade Thiago or Raul Jimenez to someone like Ekitike. I like Van Dijk as well, so I can potentially downgrade in midfield and do something like Van de Ven to Van Dijk, but let's see what happens in game week 17 first. So it's always good to have plans right, but you can't be stubborn and you have to adjust the plans if it's not going to plan. Would you start Fault Mother or Anderson? So Elliot Anderson with the better fixture. Voltmada, he will probably start. I think that Voltmada, he was a bit unlucky to score the own goal in game week 16, and this is probably one of the reasons why he is one of the most transferred out players. But considering that Elliot Anderson is a defensive midfielder that potentially has a ceiling of 4 points, he can pick up defcons, of course. So Elliot Anderson will most probably get 4 points, while Voltmada, actually, if he scores against Chelsea, he will probably get 9. I think I would start Voltmada and have Elliot Anderson first on the bench, to be honest. You'd be really unlucky if Voltmada scored back-to-back own goals. So I can see why it's tempting to bench Voltmada or even selling him. I just mentioned that he is actually top 3 for transfers out this game week. So last time I checked when I made those graphics, Voltmada, he was sold by close to 500k managers ahead of the deadline. So usually on Friday nights and on Saturday mornings, those numbers go up. So we already have a player that's been sold over 1 million times. And we have Wilson transferred in by 1.2 million FPL managers as well. So a lot of transfer activity. We saw this especially last game week with all FPL managers getting 5 free transfers. I actually used all of my free transfers last game week. So my plan this game week is definitely to just play this team, hope for the best, and save a transfer, and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 18. Which 2 would you bench between Jared Bowen, Thiav, and Richards? So even though the fixture is tough for Jared Bowen playing away against Man City, probably one of the toughest fixtures, I would be really annoyed if I had Jared Bowen on my bench if he did something against Man City. So I think I would start Jared Bowen unless you have a Man City defender. So if you have Guardiola, if you have O'Reilly, I would bench Jared Bowen. But if you don't have any Man City defenders, I would just start Jared Bowen, to be honest. Bench Anderson or Richards. I would probably bench Elliot Anderson, to be honest. Elliot Anderson, he can easily pick up defensive contributions and get 4 points. But Richards, he can get defensive contribution points as well. He can get a clean sheet or even an attacking return. Of course, same goes for Elliot Anderson. He can get attacking returns. But I think I would start Richards ahead of Elliot Anderson this game week, to be honest. Playbill, hello brother, thanks for joining in. Thanks mates, I do have O'Reilly, so I'm very torn. Ooh, if you have O'Reilly already in your starting 11, makes sense to just bench Jared Bowen. So in that case, I would bench Jared Bowen and Thiav and start Richards. Bowen first on the bench, Thiav and Richards in my starting 11. No, Anderson from Fulham, sorry. Of course, of course. So let's see, it's bench Anderson or Richards. It's probably a bit harder, to be honest. Hexonic. Anderson, the Fulham centre back, playing at home against Nottingham Forest. I would probably start him, to be honest, considering it's a home fixture for Fulham as well. So yeah, I would probably bench Richards in that case if it's the Danish centre back for Fulham, Joachim Andersen. Iceland Rocks, hi mates. Are there any updates on Thiago? I would love to have some more information about Thiago. We didn't get any concrete updates today. Bit disappointing, to be honest, but the press conference with Brentford was actually on Thursday. I was kind of expecting some more information today, but we didn't get any. As far as I have seen, at least I tried to search both on X and tried some Google searches as well for any updates, but nothing more than. So what we know at this point is that he picked up a knock and he did not play in the midweek EFL Cup game. But the thing is that he has actually not played any midweek games all season. So if he didn't have this knock, he potentially could have been rested for the EFL Cup either way. So I have a feeling that he will actually be fine and start playing against Wolves in game week 17. But no promises, and we have no concrete information, I'm afraid. I'm very tempted to play Gravenberch over Thiago. Shall I? If you have the feeling that Gravenberch, you mentioned this yesterday as well, if you have a feeling that he will deliver in game week 17, I think it makes sense to actually bench Thiago. It's a punt, of course, because Thiago, he still has really high ownership, and if he starts, he can potentially hurt your rank, but I think it's a calculated risk. And Gravenberch, we discussed him yesterday as well. He can actually be a really good differential. And if you put Thiago on the bench and if he blanks, this will be good for your rank as well. So I'd say just follow your gut, bench Thiago, start Gravenberch. Playable, I have a defense of Timber, Collins, Anderson, Richards, and Mukiele. I want to bring in O'Reilly because it seems everyone does, and also next game week I will want definitely Keane. Yeah, really good really good fixtures for Everton coming up. I actually made my graphics for the game week 18 content, and I had a look at the fixtures, and in my wildcard video, Keane is in. Timber, Collins, Anderson, Richards, and Mukiele, and you want to sell two of them to bring in O'Reilly and Keane. So the thing is that your defense is already really strong, in my opinion. Timber, Collins is a good option as well. Anderson, Richards, and Mukiele. The thing is that if you sell Mukiele to O'Reilly, you will have benching headaches each game week. So it's probably one of those other guys that has to go. So who are you considering to get rid of? Nixie 404. It says Thiago has 75 chance of playing. Yeah, correct. He is yellow flagged. Usually when they're yellow flagged, it's 75%. If you're like orange, it's 25 or 50. Start Konate or Anderson from Fulham. I would probably go Anderson, to will give you some extra excitement in the last game of the game week as well, playing Monday Night Football, isn't it? Wait, yeah. Fulham at home against Nottingham Forest under the lights at home. I think this is a good fixture for Fulham, to be honest. So, considering that Liverpool is playing away against Spurs, I would probably just take the punt and play Anderson, to be honest. I will keep Mukiele as my cheap defender, yeah. And I will get Collins out for Keane, definitely. I don't know if I should get O'Reilly in place of Anderson or Richards. I would probably just keep Anderson, to be honest. Richards, a solid option as well. Do you really need O'Reilly? I think it kind of depends how many free transfers you have at the moment, but Richards will potentially see some rest going forward. He was, of course, rested as all of the other Crystal Palace players yesterday in the Europa Conference League. Glasner started only reserve players in this fixture, but Richards, we've seen a couple of times that he has been rested for midweek fixtures, so he can potentially get a rest in the Premier League as well. Anderson is a really solid option, good fixtures for Fulham. I actually like both of them. I would just wait a game week, see if you get any suspensions, injuries in game week 17. So this decision might be a lot easier after game week 17. So my advice would be to just hold the transfer. The team looks good for game week 17. Those players can definitely do well in game week 17 and reassess ahead of game week 18. Start Welbeck or Guehi. I think I would probably start Welbeck, but I don't expect him to play. I think Welbeck will either play or not play at all, to be honest. He have some back problems. We didn't get any concrete information from Hursler about his availability, but he didn't confirm that he was out, and he didn't say that he definitely will play. So I think it's a kind of hard knowing if Welbeck will start or not, but I think I would just take the chance to start Welbeck and have Guehi first on the bench. I don't think I need O'Reilly, but if everyone has him, it could damage me. And also Anderson has been a little frustrating with the points he's getting as of now. Yeah. At some points, of course, there will be damaging not owning Man City defense when they pick up clean sheets. So Guardiola, his ownership is close to 10%, I think. O'Reilly as well. They have Nunez. Diaz, I haven't really checked his ownership. Just give me a minute. Let's have a look at the Man City defense. Man City. So, O'Reilly. It's probably a bit hyped up if you go and check in the FPL page. O'Reilly seems like everyone and their dog bringing O'Reilly in, right? I kind of agree with this, especially if you're on X as well, but it's actually only selected by 10% of the managers, so that's not that many, right? So O'Reilly 10%, Guardiola 8.6, Ruben Diaz 6.8, Mateus Nunes only selected about 1.8 million. So I think we will survive without Man City defenders if they keep a clean sheet still. Richards never disappointed me when I started him, always minimum of 4 points with some 6 and some 8s. Yeah, he is a really good value asset, to be honest. I had a couple of other questions about Richards, and in most of those questions, my advice have been to just start Richards. So this is actually one of the reasons why I'm a bit reluctant. I would just keep Richards, to be honest, and the same goes for Anderson. I think he's a solid option as well. So I can see the temptation, but sometimes we just have to have a bit patience. But of course, it's your team, your decision, but I'm not really sure if it's the right time to sell Richards at the moment. As you can see on the watch list in the right-hand side, I actually have Anderson on my watch list for defenders together with Vandenberg and Guardiola. Yeah, but I think the 10% that owns him is most probably in the top 100k rank. Yeah, you're probably right because his ownership started at a bare minimum ahead of game week 1. So I kind of agree. He's like the opposite of Cole Palmer, right? Because Cole Palmer has the same amount of owners, but most of those owners are dead teams that picked Cole Palmer ahead of game week 1. So I think that this is really valuable information to have when we consider ownership like playable in the chat at the moment. So most probably the effective ownership for Cole Palmer among active managers is probably a bit lower, while for O'Reilly it's probably a bit higher. So probably not higher, but at least all of those 10% will be active, solid FPL managers. Emir Buran, I'm considering captaining Phil Foden instead of Haaland. Is it rational? So actually, I had this question a couple of times already this evening, and I think that if you have a feeling that Phil Foden will do well in game week 17, it definitely makes sense to just give him the captain's armband. So it's like Phil Foden, he is like this hot and cold player. So at the moment he's in form. I think it makes sense at least having Phil Foden, and giving him the captain's armband could very well be genius if he outscores Erling Haaland. As we actually have seen recently. So Erling Haaland, he scored in game week 16 and game week 14, but Phil Foden, he has actually outscored Erling Haaland both in game week 13 and game week 15 as well. Phil Foden, he can potentially get an extra point for clean sheets. He can pick up defensive contribution points, and he will get an extra point for a goal as well. So I don't really think it's completely maverick to go Phil Foden in game week 17, considering his form. I'm 120k overall, number 1 in most of my leagues. Should I risk Foden instead of Haaland? The thing is that if you're satisfied with your rank at the moment and your position in your mini league, the safest play, of course, is to go for Erling Haaland. I have talked about this, as mentioned a couple of times. I think his ownership, effective ownership, can get close to 200% in game week 17, considering that there are a lot of managers with their triple captain saved for game week 17 and the good fixture for Man City at home against West Ham. So I'm not really sure if you're satisfied with your rank and your mini leagues. I would probably just play it safe, to be honest. A bit boring answer. I'm sorry about that, but seems like you know the risk already, right? Nixie, Haaland captain for me this week. Foden could be worth a risk, but I'm always so scared when the player is so highly captain. So the thing is that I'm not usually scared of going against Erling Haaland. I think that I have gone against Erling Haaland. This is game week 17. I probably only captain Haaland for 7 game weeks. Most probably have had other captains in 10 game weeks. But the thing is that in game week 17, I think that Erling Haaland, he actually has the best fixture as well. So when Man City have a bit tougher fixtures, I'm not afraid of going for a differential captain. But I will actually have a quick look at my captains so far this season, if you're interested. Let's see. So in game week one, I actually went for Jared Bowen up front. He did really well in preseason, so the fixture looked really good on paper, playing against newly promoted Sunderland. They had a lot of new signings as well, so I expected West Ham to do well, but they lost. So not the best start for me with 28 points in game week 1. Third time lucky, they say. Nixie Holland is in the chat. So Jared Bowen captain in game week 1. In game week 2, I captained Saka. In game week 3, I went for Erling Haaland. Haaland again. In game week 5, took a punt on Chris Wood. I totally forgotten about this game week. Erling Haaland, he got 9 points. He was probably the obvious choice in game week 5, but I went for Chris Wood. He had a really good fixture this game week in game week 5, but he blanked. Game week 6, back to Erling Haaland. I played my triple captain this game week in game week 6. Erling Haaland with 48 points. That's solid. I started without Haaland and Salah. Yeah, I brought Erling Haaland in all my wildcard in game week 3, to be honest. Game week 7, I went for Erling Haaland, 8 points. Captaincy made it 16. Game week 8, played my bench boosts. So this is really frustrating. Have a look at this. I was kind of unsecure about playing my bench boost in game week 8, or if I should wait for game week 9. So I played my bench boost in game week 8. Got 13 points. Let's see what happened in game week 9. So in game week 9, I actually got 40 points on my bench. So that was a really, really big swing. Could have been a really, really good game week if I decided to wait 1 week with the bench boosts. Thunderfan, 23 points, Rodon, 13. That was a bit annoying, but I went for Erling Haaland this game week, so he blanked. Game week 10, Erling Haaland. Game week 11, I went for Mateta captaincy in game week 11. He blanked. Game week 12, I went for Mateta again. In game week 13, back to Erling Haaland, and this is actually a bit annoying, seeing that I went for Mateta in game week 11 and game week 12. He actually scored in game week 13. I used my free hit, so I free hitted Mateta out of my team, and he scored in game week 13. My captain, Erling Haaland, he blanked. Game week 14, captain Bruno Fernandes, 4 points. This was kind of frustrating as well. I was between Erling Haaland and Bruno Fernandes in game week 14 and game week 15. So I took the wrong decision both those game weeks. It was a bit unlucky. So in game week 14, my captain Bruno Fernandes got 4 points. Erling Haaland got 14. Next game week, I swapped the captaincy. So I gave the captain's armband to Haaland in game week 15. He blanked, but this game week, my captain from game week 14, Bruno Fernandes, he got 18 points. In game week 16, a lot of the most selected captains did well. Erling Haaland was the best option together with Bruno Fernandes, but I went for Bukayo Saka. So as you can see, I usually like to take a punt and go against Erling Haaland. I think I said that I had Erling Haaland captain 7 times so far this season. So yeah, back to the original question. Is it a good idea to go against Erling Haaland this game week and go for Phil Foden? I think that if you have a feeling Phil Foden will do well, go for it. But for me, I will most probably just go for Erling Haaland this game week. He has solid attacking stats. West Ham, they are one of the worst defensive teams. At the Etihad against West Ham, I think Erling Haaland at least will get 1 goal. If you take a look in the graphics as well, Erling Haaland, I think it's a new record so far this season. So I always go and find the bookies anytime goal score odds and clean sheet odds as well. As you can see, Erling Haaland is the favorite, 72%. Foden. Same exact captains since game week 13, mates. Could have been so good, right? I think we've been a bit unlucky, but I've actually picked up green arrows in those game weeks, even though my captain selection actually have been a bit unlucky, to be honest. 40 points is wild, yeah. This will be the season I will remember for this decision. It was really close between playing my bench boosts. Was it game week 8 and 9? 9 or 10? Was really close between those 2 game weeks, so I decided to play it early in the first game week where I only got 13 points. I was actually a bit... I wasn't really... It was like an okay bench boost, let's put it that way. 13 points, not the best, not the worst, but considering that the other game week I considered to play the bench boost, the next game week got 40 points. That's actually a bit annoying. So let's see if we have any other team selection posts over here. Luca, we have Vish Malhotra, MK Ahmad. I think we're up to speed. Let's get my team back. This is my team ahead of game week 17. The plan is to save a transfer. I only have 1 free transfer. I actually have 0.0 in the bank, so I would like to save a transfer and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 18. I will try to look at a way to bring in some Liverpool cover, possibly downgrading someone to an Everton defender. They have really, really good fixtures, so possibly something like... I don't have that much in defense, but I can potentially, to free up some funds, I can do something like Anderson to 4.3, midfielder like Deveni, the Crystal Palace mid, and upgrade Thiago to Ekitiki. It's something I will consider. Of course, I will post my transfer plans in the team selection video ahead of game week 18. So if you're interested, and if you want to support the channel, go watch my weekly team selection videos as well. I usually post free hit wildcard videos as well. And I have those Friday night Q&As ahead of every deadline. So if you're interested in that, please go subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thinking of Sanchez as well in place of Raya, but not in a hurry. I think that Sanchez is a really good option at the moment. I just mentioned my team selection videos, and I had kind of a Sanchez praise in my team selection video ahead of this game week. He has actually done pretty well recently. Let's have a look at his points. fpltips. I'm not a big fan of the new FPL site, to be honest. So, especially if you're zoomed a bit out, you can push something and you will not get it on the screen. But this is Sanchez points in the last game week. So clean sheet in game week 16 against Everton. So 6 points, 10 points against Bournemouth in game week 15. Blank against Leeds, blank against Arsenal. 6 points in game week 12, 11, and 10. So he actually, in the last 7 game weeks, he only blanked twice. So considering that, I think his price has gone up to 4.9 at this point, but he was 4.8. So I think that he is a really good value goalkeeper at the moment. So if I were to play my wildcard, I would definitely pick Sanchez ahead of Raya. My favorite goalkeeper ahead of game week 18 would ahead of game week 17 would probably be Pickford, to be honest. Really good fixtures for Everton from game week 18 and onwards, as mentioned. I will wait until game week 21, probably when he has Fulham. Yeah, makes sense. Really good fixtures. I talked about this earlier as well. Cole Palmer, someone considered to bring in Cole Palmer this game week. I think it's a solid option. Get in early on a really good FPL asset. They have 2 home games, so playing at home in game week 17 and game week 18. But the fixtures for Chelsea, Chelsea, they have kind of a fixture swing from game week 21 and onwards, so it makes sense to wait with the Raya to Sanchez transfer. Hey man, what do you think of Nketiah as a differential now Welbeck is a doubt? I think Nketiah is a solid option, especially for game week 17. We know we actually have received the starting 11 from Glasner. So we know that Crystal Palace will start with Nketiah and Mateta up front against Leeds in game week 17. So short term, a really good option. But for how long will he continue playing? I think he will get decent minutes now with AFCON and Sar being away on international duty. But short term, Nketiah is a solid option, but he will be a transfer waiting to happen from game week 21. But if you think he can, so Nketiah is like, it was the same story when he played at Arsenal. When he got the minutes, he got points as well. But there's something about Nketiah, he never really becomes a regular starter. We saw this at Arsenal, we've seen this with Crystal Palace as well, but he will get good minutes in the upcoming game weeks, but from game week 21 and onwards, I would have an exit plan for Nketiah. Welbeck, he might actually miss out in game week 17. We didn't get the confirmation from Hörsler on the press conference, but he still has back issues, so Welbeck to Nketiah ahead of game week 17 might actually be a really good punt. Great content. Thanks for joining in and thanks for the kind words. Really appreciate it. So on the screen, we have Sanchez points from the last 9 game weeks. But let's get my team back on the screen. I actually think my team is close to locked in, to be honest. Let's see. How's that? Yeah, that's good. My team is close to locked in. I only have one free transfer. I have no money in the bank. Used all my 5 transfers last game week. So I think the team looks good on paper. I have a solid option on the bench in Elliot Anderson against Fulham. Thiago, I think he will play. My captain will be Erling Haaland. Hopefully Raul Jimenez can do well this game week. So the plan is just for me to save a transfer and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 18. Do you think Rice will provide more value than Saka long term? Probably. If we consider points per million, I think Rice definitely will be a better FPL asset. The problem with Rice is that it's not a captain option, right? So this is what you're paying for with Saka. He is on penalties. He is a much better captain option. So considering that we've seen that Saka actually can pick up defensive contributions as well, who is the best asset? Kind of hard to tell. Who is better value? That's probably Rice. Who is the best captain option? Definitely Bukayo Saka. Shirky is more technically gifted than Neymar. He can use both feet to transfer Shirky in. Really, really good option. If you can see in that's not in the right hand corner, I actually have a watch list. Shirky is on it, so I might actually get Shirky in myself. Not for this game week, but I have a free spot for a new Man City player. I might get a defender. I might actually get Shirky and triple up on the Man City attack. So Shirky, really, really good option. I will not expect Shirky to start every game week and play 90 minutes week in, week out. But considering his price, considering the fact that he is really, really attacking and in form, he is actually a good option at the moment. It's really fun to watch Shirky, right? One of the most gifted players in the Premier League at the moment. So the algorithm on YouTube when it comes to shorts and on Instagram, stuff like that, I get a lot of Shirky videos from like he was 12. Really, really talented player. So I definitely agree with Hamad. Shirky is a solid option. Would you do Saka and Weaver to Rice and Cunha? I can see the temptation. I've had a couple of other chats that consider something similar, like Saka to Semenyo and another midfielder to Cunha, but let's have a quick look at the Man United fixtures. I think the entry point for Man United and doubling up on their midfield is probably in game week 19. We play away against Aston Villa this game week, and they have Newcastle, one of the best defenses in game week 18. But then again, Newcastle, they have a lot of injuries, so the game in game week 18 might actually be similar to what we saw against Bournemouth in game week 16. Might be a lot of goals, but when we take a look at the fixtures, doubling up on the Man United attack can potentially wait until game week 19. Really good fixture against the Wolves at home. Then they have Leeds away and Burnley in game week 21 as well. Anyways, good night, mates. Thanks for joining in, Playbill as always. Good night and have a lovely weekend and best of luck for game week 17. So, would you do Saka and Weaver to Rice and Cunha? In isolation, I think that Rice and Cunha, both of them really solid options. Saka is the best option, but having Weaver in, I think that if you have to start Weaver every game week, I think Rice and Cunha is a much better combo, to be honest. getting in early on Man United, double up on Man United attack can actually be a good idea as well. So Aston Villa, they're not like we got used to from last season. They're not so defensively stable as in the 24-25 season. A lot of injuries in the Newcastle defense. So getting Cunha in for game week 17 might actually be a really good idea. So I don't really think that Saka is essential. Is he actually worth his price tag? I'm not really sure. The thing with Saka, what you pay for is that you will have another captain option. But there are a lot of other good captain candidates on offer at the moment. Of course, Erling Haaland, we have Bruno Fernandes as well. So when Man United have good fixtures from game week 19 and onwards, I don't really think that we will captain Saka that many times. So selling Saka, I will probably consider something similar myself, to be honest. Adam Clarence, I have Timber, Van Dijk, Anderson, O'Reilly, and Richards. Who do I start? I have Raya in goal. So Timber, I would definitely start him and double up on the Arsenal attack. As you can see in the graphics on the right-hand side, Arsenal, they are the favorites to keep a clean sheet this game week with 54%. O'Reilly should start as well. I would put Richards on the bench playing away against Leeds. I can see Leeds scoring this one. I can see a Dominic Calvert-Lewin goal. So for me, it's between Van Dijk and Anderson. I think I would probably just go Van Dijk, to be honest. You would be a bit annoyed if you had Van Dijk with a clean sheet, potentially an attacking return on your bench, considering his price tag. While Anderson, on the other hand, cheap defender, having a 6-pointer, potentially 8-pointer from Joachim Anderson on the bench, it wouldn't hurt that much. So I would start Timber, O'Reilly, and Van Dijk, with Anderson and Richards on the bench. Is it a good time to sell Enzo for Bruno and Cucurella for O'Reilly? Yes, I think Enzo has lost some of his appeal with Cole Palmer being back. One of the reasons why I really liked Enzo for like 5 game weeks ago was the fact that he actually was the first choice penalty taker for Chelsea. But with Cole Palmer back, he's on more set pieces and he's on penalties as well. So Enzo has lost some of his appeal. So getting rid of Enzo totally makes sense. Bruno Fernandes, a really good option. O'Reilly as well. So Enzo, Cucurella to Bruno and O'Reilly. I think this is a solid upgrade at the moment. Sidru, thanks for your input, my friend. No worries. Thanks for your question and thanks for dropping into the stream. Really appreciate it. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. I post weekly team selection videos where I take a look at the watch list and captain selection, stuff like that. And I always have Q&As like this one the night before the deadline. So if you're interested in that, please consider subscribing to the channel. That would be really appreciated. So there will be a lot of game weeks in the next weeks. Will be a really interesting period for FPL. I'm really hoping that I can get more green arrows. I had a terrible start this season. Game week rank of 9.5 million in game week 1. At the moment, I'm ranked at 1.4 million. So a solid rank climb from game week 1 to game week 16, and hopefully this will continue in the upcoming game weeks. What's on the screen at the moment is actually the Man United fixtures. I really like the fixtures from game week 19 and onwards. So this is my team. My plan is just to save a transfer and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 17. Adam Clearings, Jared Bowen or Ekitike starting next week. Ooh, both of them are really, really good options. Let's have a quick look at the fixtures. Ekitike in this form will always be a really good option. From game week 18, let's have a look. Wolves, West Ham. So after the Man City game, West Ham, they will play at home against Fulham, at home against Brentford, away against Wolves, at home against Nottingham Forest. So there are good options. In the right-hand side, you can see my watch list. I actually have Jared Bowen and Ekitike on my watch list for forwards at the moment. So do you have them both in your team, or are you considering transferring in Ekitike or Jared Bowen? Bowen or Ekitike starting next week? Or do you or is the question if I think they will start in game week 18 next week, this game week, or game week 18? Maybe this question is, maybe I'm overcomplicating this question. If so, I'm terribly sorry, but need a bit more context, I'm afraid. However, I think both of them are really, really good options. I think both will start, especially Jared Bowen. He is one of the most nailed-on players in the league at the moment. So together with players like Bruno Fernandes, Van Dijk, I think Jared Bowen is in the same category and will play close to 90 minutes every game week. Considering transferring them in, probably Jared Bowen, to be honest, just for the safety of minutes and the fixtures. I can't see Ekitike. I think he will start most game weeks, considering that Gakpo is still injured. But Gakpo, he will be back. There will be more rotation for Liverpool, as we actually saw earlier on in this season. So when it comes to FPL, considering that we are in the busy Christmas schedule at the moment, I think that Jared Bowen is a really, really good asset at the moment. So I talked about this earlier. I need to do something with my forwards. Thiago, Raul Jimenez, one of them, probably both of them. At some points, I need to sell them. If I had more free transfers, I would possibly look at something like Saka to a 4.5 midfielder and upgrade both Thiago and Raul Jimenez to Ekitike and Jared Bowen. If I only could choose one of them, it would probably be, at the moment, Jared Bowen, to be honest. But as mentioned, I only have one free transfer, 0.0, nothing in the bank. So my plan is just to save and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 18. Thing is that Jared Bowen, he is a big differential as well. He's probably on penalties when Pakta is not on the pitch. So I actually think that Jared Bowen is a really, really good option from game week 18 and onwards. Hello, my friend. How are you? All good, all good. I've actually really enjoyed this stream and I'm looking forward to game week 17. Really excited. Don't have any big decisions to make. We'll probably just save a transfer and captaining Erling Haaland, but really looking forward to the games this weekend. Van de Ven was put in as captain because he's going to score a hat-trick this round. Ooh. I actually have Van de Ven last on my bench at the moment. Not really considered to play him this game week. Van Hecke against Sunderland at home. Vandenberg against Wolves. Timber against Everton. Will not bench any of them for Van de Ven. Rodon, I think actually he is a better option compared to Van de Ven in game week 17 as well. The thing is that Van de Ven, he actually scored a brace. Was it game week 9 or game week 10? I owned Van de Ven for this game week, but unluckily I actually benched him for his, was it 24 points he got that game week? But hopefully I will not regret the decision of benching Van de Ven against Liverpool in game week 17. Hello mate, what would you do if you have 3 free transfers, a wildcard and the bench boost? I also have Thiago Soboslai, Emi Martinez and Reinders. I think that if your team looks okay for game week 17, my advice would be to use the wildcard in game week 18 and bench boost the game after in game week 19. So there are a couple of fixture swings like West Ham and Jared Bowen, really good fixtures from game week 18. Man United, good fixtures. Everton, really good fixtures from next game week. So Man United, they have Aston Villa away, Newcastle in the next game week 18, and from game week 19, really good fixtures. So I would potentially play the wild card in game week 18 and then set up a solid team for a game week 19 bench boost. So I have made the graphics for a wildcard and free hit video ahead of game week 18. So I will post this probably on Sunday or possibly tomorrow, actually, if I get the time to record it in time. So I talk a bit about some fixture swings for the mentioned teams like Everton, Man United, West Ham. Good fixtures for teams like Liverpool, Man City as well. Always goals galore in that fixture, Liverpool versus Spurs. Hopefully, Van de Ven can stay quiet. I'm really looking forward to this game, even though I will not have any FPL players in action. So I agree, not Nepo. Really good game of football, hopefully, but when it comes to FPL, I'm really hoping that the most selected FPL assets will stay quiet. JI Man United Football Club, thank you. No worries, hopefully it will work out. So as mentioned, if your team looks okay for game week 17, that at least would be my advice. Wildcard in game week 18, bench boost game week 19. So usually it's a good idea to bench boost the game week after spending your wildcard because you have a fresh squad and you can set up a solid bench boost and hopefully it will not get ridden by injuries, suspension, stuff like microphone sometimes gets muted, not really sure why. But I was saying hopefully your team will not get stricken by injuries and suspensions and stuff like that. And my advice when playing the bench while setting up a bench boost team is in game week 18 on your wildcard, try to avoid having too many players on 4 yellow cards. Would be really annoying if you pick a couple of players on 4 yellow cards. If they pick up another yellow card in game week 18, they will be suspended for game week 19. So all the players on 4 yellow cards, if they pick up a yellow card in game week 18 or game week 19, they will get a 1-match suspension and miss the next fixture. I actually made a list on which players this is in my team selection video. I plan to bench boost, but I have Welbeck and Thiago flagged what to do. I actually got this exact question like 30 minutes ago. I think it's probably too much of a risk bench boosting with Welbeck at the moment, to be honest. And seeing that you have Thiago as well, I would probably delay the bench boost. So we have 2 more opportunities to play the bench boosts, game week 18 and game week 19. So considering that Welbeck and Thiago, especially Welbeck, is a big doubt. I think Thiago will play. At least I'm really hoping that he will play. But it will be really annoying to play the bench boost and have 2 players sitting out. So my advice would be to just wait until game week 18 or game week 19, to be honest. Anderson or Thiago or Vandenberg and Guehi on the bench. So it's Anderson at home against Nottingham Forest. Thiago, yellow flag, but a really good fixture. Vandenberg against Wolves away. Guehi on the bench. I would just start Thiago, to be honest. I think he will either play or get a full rest. So I would start Thiago. Really good fixture for Vandenberg playing against Wolves. I would probably bench Guehi, to be honest. Playing away against Leeds. I can't see Leeds score in this game. It's really close between Anderson, Guehi, and Vandenberg. But if you have to bench one of them, I would go Guehi, probably. Anderson. Monday night fixture at home against Nottingham Forest. Especially if you're going to watch that game, you probably would have to. You probably would like to have Anderson starting. Vandenberg picked up defensive contributions, actually putting up decent expected goal involvement numbers as well. But Guehi, of course, high ownership. So it's Guehi is probably the safest option considering the ownership, but in game week 17, I think that Crystal Palace probably will concede against Leeds. So it's really close. The safest option is Guehi, but I would probably go Guehi. The safest option is probably to start Guehi, but at the moment I would probably take the punt and put Guehi on the bench. So thanks all for joining in. It's getting late, need to get some sleep. So thanks all for joining in. Thanks for all the questions and all the discussion. Best of luck for game week 17 and have a lovely weekend. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. I do weekly Q&As the night before the deadline like this one. So if you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. And as mentioned, I post weekly team selection videos, so go check them out as well. Support the channel. That would be really, really appreciated. So as mentioned, thanks for joining in and have a lovely weekend and best of luck for game week 17.